Hey everyone, welcome back to another video with me, Nikki. We are sewing things for our friends and families. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, click the button down below, subscribe, and then you'll know when I upload a new tutorial. I walk you through real-time tutorials, step by step. All right. So today's project that we're going to work on, we are sewing a arm caddy, chair caddy. It can be a wall hanger, something that you are going to, or that you can use to put over the sofa, you know, to put your remotes, magazines, things like that in. Okay, but you could also use it as a wall hanger. So you'll find all of the descriptions. You'll find the descriptions for what you need down below. So go ahead and check that out, and that's about it. Let's get started. So I am going, for the purpose of this video, what I did was I already adhered my fusible fleece to the front side of my project. Okay, you can use fusible fleece or you can use 100% cotton batting. It doesn't matter. If you use cotton batting, then you have to spray it to adhere it to the fabric, to your outer fabric. And if you wanted to, for the cotton batting, you can put some quilting lines over it, some free motion quilting lines, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to the side, my lining, okay? Just gonna put that to the side real quick. I'm going to put these tabs. These are the tabs for the binding. I'm gonna put that to the side. Okay. I am going to start off working on the outer fabric here. Okay, so you can adjust this to whatever size you would like. Okay, keep in mind, you know, you might want to go wider depending on, you know, how many remotes you're going to use, or, you know, if you plan on putting books, etc., etc. You're basically working with rectangles for this project. Okay, so, you know, no crazy curves or anything like that. All right, so what I am going to do, I am going to work from the bottom of my fabric. This is 1 yard. This is 36 inches long. And the reason for that is because I am going to adhere my pockets that I'm going to create starting at the bottom of the project. So I'm just going to lay this out for you just so that you can get an idea of what will be happening here. Okay, so I'm going to be adhering pockets to the bottom. It's not straight right now. I'm just showing you something. Okay, so these will be pockets. This will be pockets. And then this portion here will need to be used to hang over the armchair of the sofa that I plan to use it for. Okay, or you can use it to hang this portion here to hang over the chair that you may want to use this for. Okay, and I'll show you how to adjust it. If you want to use it for a chair, you just need to add some velcro on, some hook and loop, so we'll get to that. Okay, so what we're going to start with first, I'm just going to roll this up here because just so that it doesn't get in the way. I'm just going to roll this portion. Okay, good. It makes it easier to work with. I want to create pockets on the bottom of this. Okay, I chose that I am going to put binding. Okay, I wanted, even though you can't see the inside pocket, I wanted a little bit of color because I wanted to use this solid color. Well, it's not solid, but the plaids. I wanted to use the dark gray, obviously, to match in my home, but I wanted a coordinating color. I am not going to put any Pellon 809 or any interface on here because when the two of these cotton pieces are together, it's thick enough. Okay. What I am going to do is I'm going to use one of the tabs here as a contrasting color to create a binding for the top of this. Okay, I want to have binding on mine. Okay, so I'm going to use it and I'll show you how to do that. I want to create a binding for my pocket. Okay, if you do not like binding, okay, or if you think you can't sew binding, which I'm going to show you a real easy method to do it, but if you do not like binding, then what you can do, because I'm not going to do that step for this video, but what you can do is take your outer piece, the front part, and put your pretty sides together. Okay, you can sew all the way around. Okay, leave a portion to turn it right side out. Okay, and then what you can do is turn that right side out, that pocket, and put it in place. Okay, so that you can see that it's lined up with your piece. Top stitch the top part of that pocket. Okay, the top part of it, and then you can wait for the next steps or fast forward ahead. Okay, but so I'm not going to do that for my project. I'm going to use binding. So what I'm going to do is put my pieces right here, just so you can see my wrong sides are together. Okay, my wrong sides are together. All right, that's what the cool thing about binding is, because it's sort of like you're creating a shortcut. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pretty side of my tab, my pretty side. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it right here, line it up, pretty side on the pretty side of my fabric here. So pretty tab, pretty fabric, outer fabric. I'm going to go to the machine. Okay, let me just pin this portion just to hold it. Just gonna put some pins here to hold it in place. I'm just pinning this pocket here that I'm taking with me. Okay, make sure those raw edges line up. Okay, so I'm going to take it to the machine, and what I'm going to do is I am going to sew right down across. Okay, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, let's do that. Make sure you are using coordinating thread. Okay. Okay. Push that down a little more. And if you've been following along, then you know I sew with the guide markers. I'm using that second guide marker. For those of you who don't know 1/4 inch or who don't like numbers. So, okay. So here's what I have right now. Okay. I'm going to remove this. What you're going to do is grab your iron. I'm going to put this underneath my iron. I'm going to flatten this out right here, because what I want to do is force that seam up. I mean, it's there as it is, you know, but I'm going to force it up. Flatten that. Okay. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to fold this down, and I'm going to fold one more time. So I'm bringing my raw edge into the sewing line, and then all I'm doing is folding one more time. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to iron it down to help me out right at my sew line. This is an easy way to do binding. This method also works when you're doing quilts or placemats. Okay, and now I'm gonna go back and I'm going to make sure if you have stragglies, you get rid of them or tuck them under. Okay, and see, I'm folding this over. All right, that's going to be the front side, my front binding, and this is going to be the back. But we don't, just because it's the back doesn't mean we want to see, you know, raw edges. Okay. Ironing it down. When you iron it down, it helps you out. Checking those stragglies. Okay. Now the trick is also, you can change the thickness of your binding, and you know, that happens when you're, you know, folding it over. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to put a top stitch. I'm going to go, so you see your binding should, you see this, if you look from the back, it should meet up with your front. You see that? Okay, I'm going to put a top stitch right across. I'm going to go close to this line. So I'm sewing on my contrasting color, not on the gray. I'm sewing on here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to adhere the front part to this back part. Okay, so go very close to the edge. And of course, make sure you backstitch. I'm sewing on 3.0, and I'm at 0.5 for my distance. So with the way that I folded my fabric and the distance that I'm sewing from the line, the edge of my fabric is lined up with that second guide marker, even though my needle is writing here. Okay. And that's how I know I'm going to have a straight line the whole entire way. If you are just joining my videos for the first time, you'll find out that I tend to just tell you about using guide markers because they help you learn where to set your fabric, and it helps you have, you know, a straight line. So, okay, so I'm going to put this to the side for a moment, and I'm going to do the same thing with my next pocket. Okay, remember, if you are not doing binding, if you don't like the binding look, you're going to put your pretty side to pretty side. You're going to sew it inside out and then flip it right side out when you're done. Be sure to clip your corners to reduce the bulk. Iron it down flat, okay, and then you should be top stitching the top part of your of the pocket if you didn't want to use binding. Okay, so I'm going to get my other strip, and I'm going to put my pretty side with the pretty side. I have to take a peek at the fabric. And so I'm going to just pin this in place to help me out so I can stay put. All right, this is a good, I mean, it's a simple project. It's squared, rectangles, so you can make them squares if you want. So, all right, here I am. All right. You can also use some fun fabrics. I mean, if you're doing it for a child, use some fun fabrics. I'm putting this in my living room, well, in my family room, but I don't want a lot of colors. And so, but you can, you know, mix it up. Pushing it down. And again, I'm going to do the same thing that I've done already. I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to flatten it with the iron. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, and now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to snip off my stragglies here because I saw one poke up before, and of course I'm gonna clip it, but sometimes depending on the fabric, I mean that's 100% cotton, but sometimes certain fabrics you get stragglies. Okay, I'm going to fold it over again. Use the iron so it can help me hold it down. I might iron. All right, good. And now I'm going to fold this again. Tuck in those stragglies there. Oh, let me get the bottom. And so, all right. So we will be ready. All right, now we're ready to do the same thing. We want to take the, let's cut that little straggly. You see why you want to cut stragglies? There you go. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going really close to the edge. I'm putting that top stitch, but I'm sewing on top of my contrasting color there. Okay. All right. And back stitching. And take your time because you will see this line. Okay. Now I am using 2-inch tab scraps. If you want your binding thinner, just, you know, make it a 1/2 inch thinner if you'd like. Okay, so I'll show you what we have so far. We have that for the bottom, okay, which would be the bottom pocket. Stragglies. So we have that for the bottom, and then I have this for right here. All right, and so now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna just put this here, put the clips so that these stay in place. Okay, so now what I want to do, we want to adhere the pockets, but before we do that, we want to actually put some partitions so that you have extra spaces. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to remove this pocket from here for right now. Okay, this is the pocket that I want to work with. Okay, what I want to do is I'll show you how far up I am, but again, you're going to place yours accordingly, you know, for what suits you. I am putting this pocket, the top pocket here, so that the top of it is at 16.5 inches. Okay. All right. And again, you can alter yours. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this right here. Okay. Because what we want to do is I want to adhere this to the outside pocket, okay, by putting an inside stitch right here across, so that when I go like this, the pocket is formed on the bottom. Okay, so that's what we want to do. So I'm going to put some pins. Well, actually, yeah, I'll put pins. I was going to put clips, but I'm going to pin this in place right here. Some iron. Okay, just to hold it in place. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is I'm going to take it over right here to the machine, and we want to sew. We want to, I'm going to use about 1/4 of an inch, so probably a little less. And all I'm doing is adhering this part. I can see my lining is a little bit longer, but that's okay. I'll get it. So I'm going to sew straight across the fabric there. Okay. Roll up the top part of this fabric so that it doesn't get in your way when you are putting it through the machine, because your throat of your machine, this is your throat, guys. The throat of your machine, you know, it has to sit in there. And it might not be that wide depending on what machine you're working on. Okay, so I am lining up my guide marker, second guide marker, and all I'm doing is going to adhere this. I'm going to stitch it on. So I'm sewing through, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric. I'm sewing through the 2 pocket layers, and I'm sewing through the interface and the outer fabric. If you need to turn up your machine, if you were sewing on 2.5, you know, or if you think you want to go and get your walking foot, you know, switch it out, then you can. This is pretty cool, the presser foot. I'm just pushing it in, and what it does is it helps you go over thick layers, okay? The reason I like to use fusible interfaces, fusible fleece, is because it thins out when you iron it. It's a good stabilizer, but then it thins out and it's not bulky like, you know, the 100% cotton. That's why I love it. Okay, so I'm back stitching. Okay. I use my cutter. Okay, I'm gonna undo this, undo these clips right here. Take out these pins. Okay, now what I want to do is we're gonna iron, put my pad underneath there. I'm gonna turn this up this way. Okay, and we want to iron this. It's a beautiful lining for a pocket. Beautiful. Okay. Look at that. If you wanted to, you could actually top stitch the bottom. I'm not top stitching the bottom, you know, so you could if you wanted to. What we're going to do right now is we want to create some slots. We want to create, you know, the slots for the remotes or whatever you intend to use it for. Okay. What I'm going to do, we'll work with this pocket here, but then we're going to do the bottom. But what we're going to do first, okay, let's pin these edges. Let's pin the top, okay, and pin your other side over here. Good. All right, we're gonna fold this so we can find out where the middle of our project is. Of course, you could use a ruler and measure from the left to the right, but why do that when you can do this? Okay, and I just like to finger press it. I want it for the bottom as well, because we're going to do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, all right, so I know where my middle is now. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch a line from the top. Oh, so this is where you can decide how many pockets you want. Okay, you can decide if you just want 2 pockets, maybe you just want your, you know, you want to stick 2 remotes in this side and 2 in this side. Or you could go ahead and put another fold. So fold this over, meaning these, this edge to this line like this. Okay, finger press, and you can have a pocket there, okay. So you're going to stitch lines now according to, you know, down the folds, according to how many pockets you want. So let's see, let me see, Netflix, well, Roku, remote. I think I'm gonna go with, well, for right now, you know what? Let me stitch down the middle and then I'm going to decide, you know, what I want to do. I'm going to roll this up again. And in my head, really what I'm doing is I'm counting how many remotes or or what I'm thinking, you know, what I'm going to put in there. Okay. I'm going to go from the back side this way. Okay. Lift up my needle, slide this under. Okay. So at the bottom of the pocket, we want to back stitch. Okay. And you're going to go right over that line. Okay. Right over the fold, over the partition that was there, that's been made. Back stitch. Take your time if you need to. When you get to the top where the binding is, go over the binding. So you are putting that stitch line in the binding as well. You could choose not to if you don't want to. I'm putting it in there. You can stop before the binding, but I'm just doing it because we use pockets a lot. So I'd rather reinforce it with the thickness of the binding than on the fabric. Okay. Okay, get that out your machine. Okay, so now I'm going to use this fold line. And I'm going to put another pocket here, another partition. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. And so, yeah, this is where you get to customize it for what you need, what you want. This project would also be pretty cool if you want to make something for your sewing room. So don't be surprised if y'all see something hanging in my sewing room with one of these, because it'll be a good way to, you know, to store a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's see. What I want to see is, all right, let's see. Make sure that I'll just stick this one in. I have a TV in my sewing room. Okay, that's a good height, and that's definitely a good thickness there. So let me see if I want one over here too. Well, I may as well. I'll put 4. So, all right. I'm going to fold another one. Again, you decide how many pockets you want, or if you want to leave this one the way it is. I don't know, maybe you use, maybe like crossword puzzle books that, you know, you want to put something there. I'm making a spot like that for the bottom for books. So I'm going to fold this over. Again, I want to find out where the middle is. Folding it over. I have a little bit of extra fabric there. That's okay. My interface didn't line up perfectly. That's all right. I won't see that when we put the backing on. Okay, so there's my middle. And I will go in, nope, I'm gonna go this way. And I'm just gonna fold this over. I'm gonna fold this over. I just knock stuff down, guys. All right, and I'm going to backstitch at the bottom, going all the way up just like I did the others. The other two. Okay. Remember, just roll up your extra fabric, you know, when it's in the throat part of your machine. Okay. Yeah, we're not worried about those edges because we're going to, that's going to be our seam. So you don't even have to worry about those edges there. Okay, snip. All right. Okay, so this is what I have so far. Okay. Of course, you know, you have to cut off your little pieces. Okay, good. good. So now I have 4 remotes. That sounds about right. Okay, so bottom part of the pocket. Okay, here we go. I'm lining up my pocket with the bottom. All right. And so you can decide whether or not you want to put a partition here. Do I want to put a partition here? No, I'm not. I'm not going to put a partition there because I do have a book that I leave all the time on my ottoman. I'm going to leave that space where I can just put the whole book there. Okay, if you want to go ahead and, you know, do the fold the same way that I showed you for this one, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin here, okay? I'm going to pin this up because we want to hold this down for when we put the liner on top of this to close this up. Okay, so we want to hold this down in place. Okay, since it's not attached, it doesn't have any partitions to attach it to the fabric. Okay, so let me show you something, because what we're going to do right now is we're going to close this up. I'm going to put pretty side of my fabric. That's my pretty side. Okay, pretty side to the pretty side. Okay, but before we do this, let me just show you. If you want to if you wanted this to hang, if you wanted to create this as a hanging wall organizer, you could put another row on top here. So another row of pockets here. Okay, and then if you wanted to, you can add more here. This is meant for the sofa, like I said, for mine, because this portion here is going to hang over the armchair. But before you close this up, if you decided, just so you know, when you're making, if you make another one, add on more pockets. And then here is where you can create some tabs to hang it. So you would just use, you know, outer fabric. Again, same, you know, good outer fabric. You would do it thinner, of course. I'm just showing you. I just picked up this scrap here. You know, what you would do is sew down both sides of the fabric to create a tab. And then what you do is put it inside. And of course, you wouldn't normally do it this thick. I just said I grabbed scrap. Okay, so you will put your tabs inside like this. Make sure you would need one for one side, one for the other, because if you were to only put one in the middle, it will be heavy by the time you put stuff in, and it wouldn't be even, it wouldn't be balanced. Okay, and then you would actually close this up so that you have pretty side to pretty side. Okay, and you could baste it in place to hold it in place, you know, put some stitches to hold the tab there as well as over here. Okay, and then you would continue the way that we're going to continue now. Okay, so that's if you want to create one for hanging. This is all about you customizing it the way that you like it, the way you like it. All right, so I'm prepping this now. To finish this up, I'm going to clip these together. We're adding another layer here. You can either clip it or pin it, whatever you have, whatever you want. Okay, just to hold it together. What's pretty cool is that if you're making it for someone, you know, I have tags that I put on my things, but you could, you know, also personalize. If you do embroidery, you can put a special tab to personalize, you know, the back of it. So that would be pretty cool. And so I'm almost done here with my pinning. Okay, we are going to sew all around the back of this. We want to leave, I'm just straightening out. We want to leave about 3 inches open on either side. I would say go for the top part of the project because we have the pockets on the side here. You don't want to leave that open because it's thicker and because you want to make sure those pockets are closed. And then when you have the pocket on the bottom, so you don't want to leave the pocket on the bottom. So go ahead and, you know, at the top part on either the left or the right, it doesn't matter which side, leave your opening, you know, a few inches so that you can flip it right side out. Okay. So I'll remove all those stragglies later. Okay. All around, all four sides, leaving, you know, leave a portion open. Okay. A little bit bigger. Okay. Here we go. Finishing this project up. Oh, and then fold up what you're going to do is just so that it doesn't like get in your way too much. Fold, you know, learn to fold as you work on projects like this. Okay, because sometimes they're big, and you know, and you have to get used to working with big pieces. Okay, I'm just looking at my thread, like what just, all right, here we go. I'm gonna start down below this clip. All right, and I'm just lining up my, I'm just gonna line up my foot with the edge of my fabric. My thread just, I see what it did. Okay, let me get that out the way so it doesn't cause any issues. Going all the way down. And you're sewing a yard, 36 inches, so it's probably gonna seem like it's taking you a while. The cool thing about this, I can't edit that, guys. That's the garbage people. The cool thing about this is that you could also use it to place underneath your mattress if you want to create one for your bed. When you get to the part where you're going over those pockets, just make sure that you go a little slower because you're sewing over, you know, extra layers. Down at the bottom, rotating. I'm gonna fold this up on this end a little bit. Okay. Removing pins. I should also tell you, you should just make sure that, wow, I'm causing ruckus here. Just make sure you have enough thread in your bobbin as well, because you are sewing a large piece of fabric. Get into the side. Okay. I just closed up the bottom pocket. I'm feeling for where that bottom pocket is. Okay, it stops up here. So that I know just to go a little bit slower over those extra layers because the binding created just a tiny bulk. And I just gave it a little back stitch over the pocket. Okay. Oh, interesting. What was that? Let's see. Oh, look, guys. My pin is on the edge. Ha ha. I'm not going to edit this. So, just make sure you don't put your pin as close to the edge. Hold on. So, I thought I put it in further, a little bit further. Yep. All right. Not editing it. Okay, I'm just going to back stitch. Let's see. See, real things happen. Real things happen. Where's my... Okay. I know, guys. I do have an automatic threader. I just find that to be more of a headache than just threading it myself. So, you will never see me use my automatic threader. That's just the extra feature for me now. That is, you know, sort of like a waste. I realized I had to bump my stitches back up because, okay, I'm just flattening this here just to make sure that, you know, everything stayed in place. Almost there, almost done. I'm feeling from my top where the top of the project is because sometimes your lining shifts. Okay. I am helping to push my fabric along. So if you find as though you might have to do that, go ahead, help it out. Right, turning, and we're at the last, we're at that last little portion right here because here's my beginning. So I'm gonna back stitch, deciding how much I'm gonna leave open. That's good enough. All right. All right, so what we want to do at this point, put those clips away. What we want to do, we want to clip off the corners. And so we want to reduce the bulk when you flip it. Be careful not to cut your stitch marks, your stitching, okay? You're going to clip off the corners. It just helps it so that it doesn't look big and bulky. Okay, do that to all 4 sides. Okay. What I love is when you do flip your project, that little bit of extra seam that's on the opposite side, it helps when you are top stitching. It looks really good when you actually get it ironed and molded on the other side. If you have too much of a seam allowance, go ahead and trim it down even more. I'm going to leave mine like that. Okay, so we are ready to turn this project right side out. Where's my opening? Oh. All right. Put my hand in here. Pin. Be careful when you're turning because your pins are in that bottom pocket, remember? So I'm gently going here. I know I have another pin in there somewhere. And so we're going to iron this when we flip it out. iron everything when you're done with it. Okay. Oh, look at that. There's the pin. Take that out. You got a pin here. And the other one is what actually, what I forgot about. And, oh, look at that. There was another one. Okay, I'm going to stick my hand in here. We want to poke out the corners. Okay, poke out the corners. We're going to iron this all flat in a few minutes, but you want to poke out all the corners. Okay, and that's good. We don't have, I can feel I don't have bulk in the corners because I clip them. I like to clip just a little bit around the edge there as well when I might need my chopstick because that's not coming out as well. Meaning that little pointy area. Put my chopstick in here. All right. All the way down. I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna have some place to put remotes now. Okay, that looks good. I like it. See, I left that pocket like that, you know, for, I still read magazines, guys, and books. I don't read ebooks. I turn pages of a book. And let's see. All right, so now before we can top stitch, what you want to do is get your iron. And what we want to do, we want to iron this all down, okay, to flatten it out. When you iron down your product before top stitching, it really helps to be flat inside of the machine. Okay. Okay. Just ironing it down so that we get those edges nice. I think this is probably the first project that I've used a full yard for, with the length of the, you know, for the length of the project in a while. I mean, I sew blankets and things like that, you know. So, oh, you know what? Before the holidays come, guys, I'm gonna do a blanket tutorial for you guys to show you a pretty cool, easy way. That's a good gift. To do a quote as you go rag quote project. Quote a gift for someone. This is looking good. Okay. All right. I'm going to tuck in these sides here. Cut your stragglies if you need to. We're not all perfect. Okay. All right, fold that under. Yeah, ironing makes everything look great. Don't be in a rush to finish your project. You know, to top stitch, you know, without ironing. Because I don't consider any project to be complete if it's not ironed. That's what makes it look professional. Makes it look good. Okay. See, and if you need to, just roll your seams into place. But mine went into place, which is also good why you don't, you know, if you don't put really, really thin seams, they'll naturally go into place for you. So, all right, beautiful. We are ready to top stitch. I'm gonna finish up this project. If you are going to hang this over a chair, right, what's really cool is that you could actually fold this over and you can put hook and loop or Velcro, some people know it as, but you can put the hook and loop underneath, you see this right here, you can adhere it to the back part. Either you can use just like, you know, small rectangular pieces, or, you know, put the dots just on each side and put the other part on the bottom, and you can adhere it just like that, and it can go over the chair like that. Okay, but all right, top stitching time to finalize. And so you could even, which is what I'm gonna do for my when I do one for my sewing room, you can customize it. I think I'm gonna put some writing on the top, some Cricut stuff. I think I'm probably gonna put like junk and more junk. Just make sure where you're top stitching that you know, that you're catching that bottom part that you folded over. That looks really good. I'm going, I'm using my first guide marker. You know, I'm sewing, you know, 1/8 of an inch. Just checking the seams as I'm going. Okay, I'm about to go over this pocket here. So, I'm gonna bump up my stitches a little bit. Going slow because that's the binding. Okay, all right. Okay, going back over the pocket again, the next pocket. Okay, just checking my seams. Stopping at the bottom. I'm gonna roll this up like this, you know, just so that it gets it out of the way. I'll end up ironing it again. I'm peeking at my bobbin just to make sure that I have enough. Push. Checking my sides again. Slowly over the pockets. Okay. Almost done, guys. I see the light. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Every time I go over the, I gotta snip that. Every time I go over the pocket, I just bumped it up 1/2 inch. And then I went right back to my regular stitching. You don't want to make your machine work harder, you just work smarter. Okay, this is back at the top. I'm coming to the end. Just checking that seam. All right, what I'm gonna do before I actually remove this, I have to do a few more stitches, but I'm gonna cut that, cut my thread here. Some machines have automatic cutters, you know, like the baby locks and things like that. But we're working with Brother, which are really good machines. So we have to cut our own thread. And so. Okay, now I'm back at the beginning. All right, guys, yay. We have just completed another project. All right, so look at this. All right, and of course you're gonna go and you are going to snip off your stragglies, okay? So remember, like I said, if you wanted to hang it, if you wanted to add on those extra pockets, you would add on the extra pockets like here and here. If you just wanted to hang it, you can make it wider if you want to. Customize it for what you need. You can add the Velcro on this side to hang over the chair, like I mentioned. This is great for what I'm going to use it for. And so to put those, to put that remote, I'm going to stick a few different things in here, but yeah, so all right, guys, that's about all for this video. So if you have questions, go ahead, put them down below, subscribe to the channel, visit me on some other platforms that I have. You can find it all in the links with the other information. All right, so I'll see you back for the next video. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.